All right, this is our Ilead Oasis Hangout on Air, subject expert interview number 1. And the topic for today is, what is the future of resource sharing? And our guest expert is Kathy Parker, who is the Rails board president that's reaching across Illinois library system. And she is also the director of the Glenwood Public Library with many years of experience. So welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Carol.
And thank you for your time today.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about the Rails system. So Kathy, could you tell us a little bit, Rails only started a couple of years ago, and how it came about and what it really means for Illinois?
Sure. Rails has been in existence for just 2 years as of last month, and it came about from merging 5 library systems in the northern half of Illinois down to 1, and it was precipitated by lack of funding throughout the state. You know, obviously library systems are funded by a state grant, and so funding's been tough, as we know, in the state of Illinois, and they had to find ways to consolidate. So merging 5 systems into 1 was a way to make 1 administrative head as opposed to 5, serving a much larger geographic area.
Okay, and this recent topic posted on the Rails website, what is the future of resource sharing, suggested the topic for today, and that announcement states that the main purpose of library systems is to enhance resource sharing in Illinois, as you've stated. And this is based on the Library System Act. Could you comment briefly on that public document?
Sure. The Library System Act was enacted in 1965, and it was, and I'm quoting from the Act, the purpose was to encourage the improvement of free public libraries and to encourage cooperation among all types of libraries in promoting the sharing of library resources. And the way this would be done is through a state grant that is applied for annually by each library system in the state of Illinois.
Well, that's really good to know, particularly the grant information.
Yeah.
We'll be providing links later. Okay, so let's move on to one of your primary functions or support systems for library catalogs. So I'm going to move ahead here.
Okay.
So here we see something called, you see an LSAP, Local Library System Automation Program. Could you explain how that relates to consortia and what it really means?
Right. The LSAPs are the recognized OSAPs, which, as you can see on the screen, is Magic, Swan, Prairie Cat, and RSA NFP. They are the recognized LSAPs for Rails, which means that they receive some sort of support, meaning whether it's financial support, support using the headquarters where their servers are housed, staffing support, whatever the case, the system provides some sort of support to those 4 recognized LSAPs. And what they are, they're consortia. Like as an example, SWAN, my library is a member of SWAN, which is System-Wide Automated Network. And really what the LSAPs are groups of libraries who have come together with one type of catalog platform. And they all agree on the same type of rules, things of that nature, and do local sharing of their resources. That's not to say that as a member of my Glenwood Library, as a member of SWAN, I can't borrow something from the Prairie Cat consortia as well. It being the system that we have in Illinois is that you can borrow from anywhere in the state, just through a different, no matter what the LSAP is or what the online consortia is. So, but Rails financially supports in some way the 4 recognized LSAPs, but there are a number of other independent consortia that the system is not supporting at this time.
Should we move on to that list then?
Yeah, I think
okay. Okay. So here are the other Rails area shared catalogs. If you want to comment.
And as you can see, there's a number of other consortia shared catalogs, and there's a number of libraries also that are independent, meaning that they are not part of any consortia. They just, one library has their own catalog, and that's it. And they don't have their library next door may have a different catalog. these are not supported at this time by Rails other than to just acknowledge that they exist. There is a LSAP committee from the Rails board that is looking at finding ways to support these other shared catalogs as well, but that's in the very infant stages right now. The committee was just started about 2 months ago, and we do have representatives from each of the different shared catalogs on that committee.
So there are a lot of things in the works.
Yes, definitely. You know, Rails is very committed to resource sharing across not only our system but throughout the state. That's a very important agenda for us to make sure that libraries and library patrons have access to as many resources as possible.
And could you comment just briefly here about the delivery system and how that supports these shared catalogs?
Yes, the delivery system, which people may or may not be aware, is the physical delivery of the books from one library to another, from one library system to another throughout the state. Currently, in the Rails system, we have different delivery hubs, whether it's in Wheeling or in Burr Ridge, Bolingbrook, a few other sites as well, and we have staff who literally drive the books from point A to point B. Currently, for the Rails Burr Ridge sorting area and delivery hub, we are looking to outsource that as a pilot project to see which is a more affordable, fiscally responsible, nimble solution to getting these resources to our patrons and our libraries in a much faster and more economical way.
Okay, so again, lots of things in the works.
Definitely, definitely. The state of Illinois is also looking at, as I'm on that committee as well, the Illinois State Library Delivery Advisory Committee, looking at the best possible solutions for delivery throughout the entire state, not just in Rails.
Okay, and I was surprised to see WorldCat on this list because you think of them as a, national or global network. Why are they on this list?
They are actually global, as many people are maybe aware, but it is kind of every library in the state of Illinois has access to WorldCat. Is the one catalog that everybody has access to, and that is something that funding is provided to the libraries by the state library. So it's kind of like that underlying catalog that everyone has access to.
Yes. So then when you got down to the local holdings, you might see the local systems? Is that how it works?
You won't see WorldCat on your local catalog, but your librarian can log into WorldCat and you can see the holdings in WorldCat.
Okay. So all of the library systems are providing information to WorldCat that is shared.
Many of them do, yes. Some do provide it and some don't. It is there is a fee base to access to get into that, to download things, but it is kind of like the main card catalog of the country. So the systems do, each of the individual consortia do download all of their data into WorldCat. So at some point, if you're in a shared catalog, your data will be downloaded. An independent library may not be. So, a small rural town may not have that ability to download into WorldCat. But if you're part of a consortia, either whether it's one of the 4 recognized or the other ones, your information will be downloaded into WorldCat.
Okay, and then just briefly, could you just explain the advantage of the copy cataloging from WorldCat?
Oh, as a library who uses that quite often, copy cataloging, because WorldCat has the people who are putting the information into WorldCat, they're the professional librarians or the professional catalogers. And for libraries such as myself that can't afford a professional cataloger, having the ability to copycat catalog a record that is considered perfect or pristine is a huge benefit. And it saves me a lot of money as a library to not have to put that resource into that particular staff member for a very specific function, but yet I still have access to that record and able to use it in my library. So it's definitely a plus for libraries who maybe can't afford that professional cataloger.
Okay, great. Well, we're speaking to library technical assistants, and so that's very good to know, very useful.
Yes.
Right, so we'll move on now to, this is the Heartland system, and could you explain the relationship between Rails and Heartland in Illinois?
Sure. When I had talked about earlier that In Rails, we had 5 library systems that merged into one. Heartland had 4 library systems in the southern half of Illinois that merged into one, which became the Heartland library system. They have one really great benefit. They have one LSAP. So their library systems, they communicated and coordinated enough to have one LSAP. So every member who has a catalog in Heartland has one LSAP, which is, and the back end is Polaris. So that's kind of a nice, that's nice. I wish that was something we could have in Rails, but I don't see that happening anytime in the near future.
Yeah, I was following the story over the last 2 years, and they first migrated to WorldCat and then moved to Polaris.
Right, because they were in the process of kind of getting it all coordinated.
Okay, so, all right. So then, so here's our WorldCat screen again, and just to re-emphasize that that's kind of the backbone here of the information. Okay, well, I think that's really great information, Kathy, and I'm going to stop the screen sharing now. Thank you very much for helping us out today, and we will provide a screenshot or a screen list of all the resources that were mentioned, but that really gives us a great idea of the big picture. Now back to the original press article there, Marshall Breeding has strongly expressed the opinion that a single consortium is greatly preferred to multiple consortia or standalone libraries joining together through a discovery platform or direct consortial borrowing. He described the difficulty of getting various platforms to work together and deemed the technology fragile. What would your response to him be, that comparing one system to a discovery platform overlaid on multiple systems?
The ideal would obviously be one system, because everything is coordinated appropriately, and it would be the best possible outcome for patrons. I mean, library patrons, they want consistency, and if they're going from library to library, consistency really makes sense. In the solution at this time for Rails, because there are 4 recognized LSAPs and a variety of different consortia that have smaller LSAPs or have independent standalones, that's not going to work right now. So this discovery platform is an option that actually our LSAP committee is looking at. Because what ultimately it is to give our patrons, the goal is to have our patrons have the easiest access to resources. They can look them up easily. They don't have to keep going into Swan database and then the Prairie Cat database and the Magic database, and then their library down the street has a different database. It's really cumbersome for patrons, and it makes it difficult. So having this discovery platform, which ideally would be just an overlay of all the different catalogs, but there's one way to search.
Search, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you want to look at Amazon as a solution. You go to Amazon, you're buying just about anything you want, but they may be pulling the information from Best Buy or from Radio Shack, but they're selling it, so you have one way to look for it, and it's consistent. Mm-hmm. And the way the catalogs are working now, they're not consistent. Everyone is different. So this discovery platform, it's a phenomenal idea, and if it could work in Rails specifically, that'd be great. Again, we're in the beginning stages of researching that, and it's difficult because every library system is different. Every catalog system is different. So we're hoping. I'm hoping some good comes out of the research, and that something can be done. I don't see it happening right now. It's just too much, too many variables. But I think down the road, it's an extreme possibility. With technology the way it's moving, it's an extreme possibility.
Well, if you could build something like Amazon, that would really be a wonderful discovery system.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of smart people building it, so it can be done. We know it just may not be right now. Maybe in a year or so, but it takes that long for librarians to decide how to figure things out anyhow. And to coordinate, cooperate, so and get all the research done.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend your Rails resource as the go-to place for updates on all of these topics. And
there's always information on the website as the committees meet,
Mhm.
And all of the meetings and all the committee meetings are videotaped, so you can always see them live or usually archived as well.
That's fantastic, and we appreciate your open policy. So, and look forward to your future presentations.
Oh,
So,
there'll be a lot of them.
thank you so much.
Sure.